Episode number 68. Welcome to the Heads Up Poker Podcast. This is Steve Barden, and thank you for tuning in. I was looking at my schedule here about 10 or 15 minutes ago, and it's I'm putting out a podcast a little bit early. It's still going to come out on Monday, the 28th for you guys. But looking at my schedule, I'm flying tomorrow morning. I gotta wake up. I gotta wake up in about 12 hours here. I gotta leave the house at 4 in the morning on tomorrow morning on Tuesday, and I'm gonna head it down to the airport and then catch a flight at 7 o'clock to Texas to go see my wife. She graduates on Wednesday. Then we got to move her into an apartment out there. I got all my bags packed and everything. And then she's flying back out here, and then I got to go back to work on Saturday. And she has to head out, I think, on Easter Sunday for her first day of work. So, looking at that, this is my only window to record a podcast for you. So it still comes out every week. So I did my grind day. I did my Sunday grind yesterday, and I had a couple of hands that I thought were kind of interesting, and so I figured I would bring them up for you guys. Got them. One of them is this is a spot. They're both kind of early in the tournament, although they're two different tournaments. One of them, this first one here, I've got 10-9 of hearts. And I have it in the big blind. So I've got 10-9 of hearts in the big blind. I have 51 big blinds. The blinds are 30-60. Okay, so in the big blind, it folds around to the, let's see, what would that be? That'd be the button cut off of the hijack. He min raises. He raises to 120. And it folds around to me. So with 10-9 of hearts in the big blind, I suppose you could make an argument for 3-betting here. This is a reg. This is a regular that I have quite a few hands on. He doesn't fold very often to 3-bets. As a matter of fact, hovering over his stats right now, he's been 3-bet 7 times, and he's called 6 of them. So this isn't a guy that's probably going to fold if I raise here. So that would be an argument for calling. Another argument for calling is that 10-9 of hearts is a really pretty hand. It flops really well. You know, you're going to know if you have something on the flop. By calling with it, you're going to know if you don't. Yeah, I really, I just like a call here. I think judge it, and this is kind of a lesson in how to use your HUD and how to maximize it. Yeah, so I think that's a really good argument for a call here. I like just completing. I like making it, you're throwing in another 60 chips into a pot of 210. You're getting great odds with a great hand. I think this is a call, especially against this villain. So we call. The pot now is 270. We got 10-9 of hearts in the big blind. We're first to act, and the flop is ace of hearts, jack of hearts, 7 of clubs. So we flop a flush draw. And we also flop a gut shot. If we hit an 8, then we'll get a straight. So it'd be 7, 8, and then we have 9, 10, and then the jack. So we got a really good hand. So I think you can make an argument for leading here. I also think you can make a good argument for check raising. And I end up doing something different. And it all has to do with the HUD here. Villain in this hand, you know, I've got over 1,000 hands on him, and the two stats that are really glaring out at me right now is that he c-bets 78% of flops, and then he c-bets only 30% of turns. So what that's telling me is that he's betting too often on the flop, and then when he bets the turn, usually then he's pretty honest. Okay, if he was like 78% and then 78%, well then he's kind of, most of the time he's full of crap on the flop, and most of the time he's full of crap on the turn. Okay, but this one is very different. He's betting way too much before the flop, and he's not betting enough on the turn. So, knowing that, I like a check call here. And the reason is because if I check call, if he happens to bet, which he probably will because he does 78% of the time, if he bets, and then if he checks the turn, I can take it away from him on the river. If he bets the turn, then I could be pretty sure that I need to hit my hand. So, with that logic, we got 270 in the pot. We choose to check with the idea of check calling on the flop. So, with 270 in the pot, he bets 135. He clicks the half pot button, and this is a bet that he's going to do, 8 out of 10 times, 78% of the time. So we call. Then we go to the turn. Okay, now what we're doing, the turn is 7 of spades, so it pairs the board. The board is now ace of hearts, jack of hearts, 7 of clubs, 7 of spades. We have 9, 10 of hearts, so we still have our gut shot and we still have our flush draw. Now, going by that logic that we put together on the flop, if we go ahead and check this, and if he checks behind now, what that tells us is that he probably doesn't have anything, because this is the 70% of time that he checks the turn, and he doesn't continuation bet it again. Now, if he does bet the turn, then this is in that 30% category, and at that point we can be pretty sure that he does have a hand, like maybe at least an ace, possibly like a strong jack, maybe like king jack, or maybe even pocket queens or something like that. But if he bets this turn, then we can call again, assuming that he doesn't completely overbet the pot. Then we can call again, knowing that we have to hit our hand. Does that make sense? So if he checks, then we'll just lead any river. If he bets, then we'll call, and then if we hit our hand, then we'll go from there. Okay, so so we check, and he bets again. He hits the half pot button again. He bets 270 into 540, and we call. So now we've got 80. What do we got? 1080 in the pot. So we got 1,000 in the pot. Effective stacks, we've got 2,500 behind. So we're plenty deep stacked here. The river is the 6 of diamonds. Okay, so the final board is ace of hearts, jack of hearts, 7 of clubs, 7 of spades, 6 of diamonds. So we didn't get there. We didn't hit our 8. We didn't hit our heart. And now, going by the logic that he bet the flop and then he bet the turn, we can be fairly certain that he has a hand here. We're probably not going to bluff him off it. I don't think it's really worth trying. I mean, if he had something like a weak ace and we make it big here, I think he's probably still calling. We might get him to fold a jack. But with the draw that missed, I really don't think we're getting anything out of him here. I don't think we're getting him to fold anything better here. So I like to just check, which I do. Villain bets again, and we just fold. So didn't win that hand, but I think this is a good example of using your HUD, especially against the regulars, because they're the ones that you're gonna have the most hands on, and use it to make good decisions. So we didn't re-raise pre-flop there because of the HUD, because we know that 6 out of 7 times he's called 3 bets, and then we're playing out of position with a weak hand. So we'd like to just call, getting over 3-1 on our money. And then throughout the rest of the hand too, we know that if he bets the turn, odds are he's got it. So we have to hit our hand. If he checked the turn, then we could lead the river and probably take the pot away from him. So that was one little strategy hand, one quick one. I feel like this is kind of like a Jonathan Little podcast. It's going to be a little 8-minute one with some strategy, and then we're heading out. But we'll see. Here's the second one. King 9 of clubs on the button. The beginning of the tournament, blinds are 1530, so we're very early. We have 9,900 in our stack. Starting stacks must have been 10 grand. Looking around the table, so we're very deep. We've got over 300 big blinds. Okay, here, villain raises to, well, one of the other opponents in the hand, he raises to 84. So with the blind levels of 15, 30, he raises basically to 3x, just a little bit, probably like 2.8, something like that. 2.8x from the cutoff. We're on the button with King 9 of clubs. With this hand so deep, I guess you could make an argument for 3-betting and trying to take it down. I would much rather just, we have 330 big blinds. I would rather just toss in a 3 big blinds on the button, suited hand, and go from there. I don't think it's a mistake to call here this deep. Folding, I guess, is certainly an option. I don't think there's any problem with folding. 3-betting, I don't really like 3-betting. I wouldn't mind at all 3-betting with something like King 7 off or something like that. But I think this is just a little bit too good. So I like to flick it in. I think you could either call or fold. I don't know that it makes that big of a difference. But anyhow, we call. So with basically 9 big blinds or so in the pot is 267. And again, we are all super deep. We've got over 300 bigs here. The flop comes down King 10-9 with 2 diamonds. And we have King 9 of clubs. So we flop top and bottom pair. The nuts right here would be Queen Jack for the straight. But we're on the button with a good hand, so let's see what develops here. Oh, by the way, I called the small blind folded and the big blind completed. He called as well. So on this flop, the big blind checks, and the cutoff, the original raiser, checks, and now it's on us. So what to do here? I think checking would be really bad because there's a lot of cards that could come that would be bad for us. An ace would be bad, a queen would be bad, a jack would be bad, a 10 would be bad, an 8. Is he coming in there with the jack 7? No, probably maybe the big blind. I don't think I think basically most of the stuff below 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 are good cards. And anything else is kind of bad except for a 9 or a king. So a 10 wouldn't be good. A queen's not any good, and an ace isn't any good. So I think we need to bet here. Oh, and a diamond is bad as well because we have 2 clubs. That would complete the flush. So I think we need to bet here, and I think we need to bet fairly big. It's very likely that we have the best hand right now, but with 2 opponents, this could kind of smack their ranges too, and I think we should get some money in the pot here while we got a good hand. I like a pot-sized bet, maybe even a little bit more than a pot-sized bet, all the way down to maybe 3/4, something like that. I bet a little bit less than pot. The pot is 267. I bet 222. We get a call from the big blind, and we also get a call from the cutoff. So they both check called. Would have rather gotten heads up, but be that as it may. The pot is now 933, and the turn is probably one of the worst cards. It's the 10 of hearts. I think the only thing worse than that would have been like the 10 of diamonds. I think probably would have been worse than the 10 of hearts. But it is the 10 of hearts, so the board is now King 9 of diamonds, 10 of clubs, 10 of hearts. So we got King 10, 10, 9. And we have King 9. So the the big blind checks, and then the cutoff bets 675 into 933. So he's betting like 3/4 pot here. All right, so what happened here? We had a top and bottom pair, and then we got counterfeit on the turn. So what we have now is we now have a pair of kings, and we have a pair of 10s, and a 9 kicker. The 9 on the board plays, the one in our hand doesn't anymore. If we had something like ace-king here, king-queen, I think that would be worth a call. King-jack would be tough. But if we range these guys, and especially the cutoff, I really don't think he's betting anything worse than a pair of kings with a 9 kicker. I think he's betting king jack. I think he's betting king queen. I think he's betting ace king. I think he's betting a 10. I think he's betting queen jack for sure. There's not much that we really beat here. So is he really betting an under pair like jacks or queens? I don't think so. I don't think he's betting that. Both these players are unknowns. I only have 11 hands on both of them, so I'm assuming both of them are recreational players. You know, 3/4 bet on the turn into that. I don't think we're beating much here. I think he's calling a lot on the turn or on the flop with the 10, and I think this is a spot where a lot of amateurs will bleed away some of their chips, especially when they're this deep. I mean, you know, we have over 300 big blinds. You know, it can seem pretty easy to flick in a small bet like that, but really, I mean, you're losing over 22 big blinds right here if you make this call. I think in the long run, more often than not, you're beat. You know, he could be betting with something like ace queen of diamonds, and well, good game, sir, good hand. But yeah, I think the move here is folding when you get counterfeit like that, and so that's what I end up doing. I end up letting it go, and the big blind folds as well, so we never get to see what he has. But that's a spot that comes along every now and then. I thought it might be interesting for the podcast. You know, when just because you have the best hand on the flop doesn't mean that you're going to have the best hand on the turn, and it certainly doesn't mean you're going to have the best hand on the river. So when you're facing spots like these and you're pretty sure that you're beat, you know, that's where the skill comes in, is letting it go. So anyhow, just quick little couple hands. I wanted to get that out there for you guys before I head out. Yeah, so some of the things that are coming up. Let's see, what do we got? Upcoming guests, we have a girl named Monica, who's a professional poker player. I've talked about her before out in Poland. And so she's going to be coming on here soon. She'll be the next episode. And the guys over at the Post-Flop Poker Podcast, looks like I'm going to be coming over there. That'll be kind of neat to be a guest on someone else's podcast. You don't have to do any preparing, or you just kind of show up. That'll be kind of neat. That'll be cool not to have to coordinate all that, and with the editing and posting and all that. It'll be neat to be a guest on there. I got to experience that a little bit with the Live at the Bike. That was kind of neat. I basically just made sure I had my phone on at this select time, and that was it. So that'll be kind of neat to be on their podcast. And then I've got a coaching session coming up with Ben, and then I think the guys are going to come over to my podcast. So if you guys haven't heard their podcast yet, look it up on iTunes. It's the Post-Flop Poker Podcast. They're I was joking around on Twitter that sounds like they sound like the Beatles, but it's these English guys. They just they're pretty funny. So anyhow, check them out. And what else is new? Tony, we brought him on the podcast before, and he's been designing our website. He's got his hands full now, literally. He's just had a baby. Well, he didn't have the baby, Danny, his significant other did. But, yeah, he's got his hands full now. Baby was a little bit premature, so our thoughts are out with you, Tony. Hope everything's going good there. I hired a kid, Cody, to take over the website, and he's designing it. I got to get him some pictures, and it's looking pretty good. It's neat. So if you want to submit a hand to the podcast, go over there, click on the little coaching tab, and then submit a hand. I'll read it on the air, talk it over with one of the guests. If you are ready to get your MP3 to listen to before you start your next session, Elliott Rowe, yes, you know what I'm talking about. Don't forget to use your coupon code HeadsUpPoker. It'll give you a little discount. It'll kick a little bit back to the podcast. Everyone's happy. So I think that's about it. You have a great week. And here is your weekly motivational speech.
Being a leader consists of work. You must lead by example. You cannot lead until you can serve. You
cannot serve until you can work. You cannot work until you see potential.
You cannot see your potential without intelligence. The realization of potential, believing in yourself, believing in your vision from within, stepping forth, unleashing your full potential, and bringing your vision into fruition.
There's some of you, you're trying to get there too fast. Relax. It's gonna come. And you gotta learn to shut the noise. I mean to shut out other people's opinions.
You have a purpose, one which nobody else can do as great as you can.
You gotta hear it. You can't make a difference until you make a decision. So, for real, some of you, man, you keep crying. You complain about your job. You complain about where you are financially. You complain about your relationship. You complain about your opportunities. You complaining. Shut up. Stop complaining and do me a favor. If you want to make a difference, all you got to do is one thing. This is how you get started. All you got to do is make a decision. That's it. And for those of you who've been making the wrong decision, all you got to do is make the right decision. But if you want to make